What's up everyone? Tim Newbold here. I'm really excited to be sharing with you how you can link your team's sprint goals to their objectives and key results, making sure they're making progress every single sprint. Objectives and key results is a goal-setting framework that really helps create focus and alignment within your organization around what matters most. It focuses us on creating business value, valuable outcomes that actually solve the customer's problems. Scrum, on the other hand, is a really powerful framework for teams. It helps them get really focused on the work they need to do. It helps them continuously improve, and it helps them see progress as they work through the different work items. If we bring these two things together, you're going to help yourself get that focus on the organizational goals, the team goals, but also making sure they're continuously driving value every single sprint. If we look at objectives and key results, they tend to be set quarterly. They're quite large-scale, big-picture kind of things. Even for the team, it takes a whole quarter to work through. Even if you're setting them 6 weekly, it's going to take you a while to get through that. The power of Scrum is it gives you a near-term focus. So if you can use the objectives and key results goals and bring them down into nice, valuable slices that the team can pick up and use, all of a sudden you've got a really powerful mechanism to connect their sprints to their objectives and key results. If I give you the very short version of Scrum, and believe me, there's a lot more to the framework, so I encourage you to go read up on it. The short version is you have a product backlog. This is a list of items that you believe you need to do. And ideally, that backlog should be helping you deliver on a certain business outcome. Could be a near-term thing, could be a longer-term thing. What we do is we have a time box that we work within. Generally, that's fortnightly for a lot of teams. Some teams it's weekly, some teams it's up to 3 weeks, which is probably getting a little bit too long, but somewhere between that 1 to 2 week mark. What we do is we go to our backlog and we pull in the work that we believe we can deliver within that time box. Now, the risk here is that we get focused on doing the work rather than creating business outcomes. So what we want to do is set a sprint goal first. Get clear on what are we trying to achieve right now. The way to do that is look at your objectives and key results and see how you can take a valuable slice out of that over the life of your sprint. So again, it might be a week or 2. So you're going to have to break it down into something small and tangible. You work on that through your sprint, delivering stories that you think can actually help you create those outcomes, measuring progress as you go, and then at the end of your sprint, you're going to reflect back and see how you went. When you connect your what is most important right now question and bring that down into small, near-term, valuable slices of work that you can do every sprint, all of a sudden, you've unlocked something really powerful. Let's get to an example. Over here, we've got make our checkout feel like butter. So we're really trying to create an awesome checkout experience. There's a few ways that we're going to tackle that. First, we're going to increase overall satisfaction. We're going to make customers happier to use that experience. Second, we're going to help them speed it up so they can get through that checkout much quicker. Finally, we're going to be increasing how many people add value-add products so that they can get everything that they need during that checkout process. So we've got measures for all this. And anyone who works in e-commerce, you know that achieving any one of these items is a challenge, right? It takes time. You're not going to get that done within a sprint. So what's the approach? It all comes down to slicing of value. So your OKRs take a slice out of your strategy. From your OKRs, you can actually break them down into smaller sliced objectives and key results that are very focused. Now, I wouldn't overdo this. I just capture them as measures that I'm trying to create within a sprint, and I call them sprint goals. From that set of goals, you can actually choose the items in your product backlog that are going to help you do that. Now, they also need to be broken down to small slices. If you've got one user story that's going to bring the whole customer checkout process down in terms of making it faster, that's way too big and it's going to take way too long. You want to have it as small as possible so you can make lots of small iterations and see the progress that you're making. So, okay, let's pause that. Let's actually look at what might be some sprint goals to achieve this or make some meaningful progress on these key results. So let's go back to the start of the Scrum framework, where you're picking out items from your backlog to work on for the next sprint. Let's actually set the goal that we want to achieve. What's the outcome we're trying to create over the next 2 weeks? It should be aligning to one of these items. We should be trying to make progress on one of those key results. As a team, you're going to discuss what are some things you might be able to do to make that progress. Have a look at the backlog, share some ideas. How could we actually tackle this? So, with the team, we might have come up with a couple of examples. We're slicing this down into small, valuable chunks. So, the first goal we might set is increase checkout customer satisfaction for single item carts from 3.5 to 4. So, it's a really small increase. If we think about this, we're not trying to get to the 4.5. We're just trying to take a small chunk out of that, and we're only going to focus on people with a single item in their cart. What this means is that there's less sort of complexity in the work that we're doing, and there's less sort of testing that we have to do because we're only going to focus on one type of customer. So that might be easy to achieve within a sprint. We also might agree that we can take on a little bit more. So in that case, maybe we're going to speed up the checkout. So we're going to have that for single items only. Rather than having too many items, we're just going to, again, keep it nut focused. These two goals also align, right? So we're going to have a fast checkout process, and we're also going to increase satisfaction. And it's only for the type of customer that's checking out one item at a time. That means also we're not even going to worry about key result 3 this sprint. We're not going to try and make progress. I don't have to try and run everything parallel. We're just going to try and get these two things done. Okay. So, in sprint planning, we've agreed these are our 2 goals. The team have said that they think that should be achievable, but how much work is that actually going to take? Well, that's where we've got to look into the backlog and check out our user stories. Here's 2 that I prepared earlier. Now, maybe you can take on a whole bunch more as your team, but I'm just going to keep it down to 2 user stories to keep it nice and simple for now. So, let's have a look at these user stories. We're talking about as a single item customer. So what we're trying to do is keep focus around these stories. We're not going to say it's going to be for all customers. We're only going to do it for one type. Now, I'm going to talk in a minute about how some people really struggle with this because their systems are not set up to sort of focus on or toggle on features just for certain customers, but we're going to come back to that. For now, let's imagine we're only going to turn this feature on for customers who have a single item in their cart. So this one here, we're saying they're going to skip creating an account. Maybe at the moment they have to create an account. We're going to skip that with this new feature. And that's so we can check out faster. Well, that's wonderful. That's going to make people get through the process a whole heap faster. It's good news. It's probably also going to increase satisfaction. Another way that we think we might be able to increase satisfaction is by giving them free express shipping. Everyone loves that, right? This might be a bit of a way to make it a bit better. Also, at the moment, for these guys, maybe their checkout process is really complicated around selecting different shipping types. So, again, as a single item customer, I want to do a free express shipping for orders over $20. Because I understand if anything's under $20, and I know this is a consumer, you're not going to get that for free. But over a certain threshold, give me free shipping. And the value add here is I want so that I get through checkout faster and get my stuff faster. So I'm going to be happier as a customer. Now, as a team, we're going to keep pulling out user stories that we think can help this, again, slice very thinly so that we can get that value created sooner. These stories, you want them to be able to be completed within a day or 2. That means very small slicing. What we don't want is to be working on the stories all through the sprint. We do a deployment right at the end. So there's another part to this. You want to have continuous deployment. If you don't, I'm going to talk to you about how you can get around that in a minute. So we know what we're doing. We know what we're working on. That's great. I know what the next question in your mind is, well, Jim, what if I have a task that I have to do, or we've got tasks for the team to do that they need to complete to make the system better, healthier, whatever it might be. That's cool. I've got your back. Here's yet another one I prepared earlier. Task, refactor rescue module on K2 SO. Apparently, the rescue module hasn't been going too well. So you're looking at this and going, where does that fit into this whole scheme of things? The good news is it doesn't. And we're still going to pull it into this sprint. Again, presuming the team believe we have capacity. And if your velocity tells you that you have capacity to pick this up, and again, if I'm talking too many crazy terms right now, you might want to go read about the Scrum framework because there's a whole wealth of good stuff behind there. Okay, so it doesn't have to necessarily align, and that's one thing to remember with objectives and key results. That isn't your pure focus. For some teams, it's going to be 80% of your work, particularly if you're a product team or something like that. For other teams, let's say you work in a call center, it's going to be maybe 5 or 10% of your work at most. It's okay to have work that is not related to your OKRs. If every sprint, however, we're only picking up tasks like this, and we weren't picking up any user stories that made an impact on our sprint goals, which also make an impact on our objectives and key results, then there's a problem. Now, could you include a sprint goal around having this refactoring done, and why? Absolutely, you could. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do it. For the purposes of today, we're not going to cover that. Okay, so now we've got this. What's going to happen is we're going to pick up a story at a time as a team, and we're going to work on that day by day. As quickly as we can get this into production, we're going to be testing the data to see how customers are reacting to this, and are we making progress? If we're not making progress on one of these goals, then we're going to play more stories to make improvements. What we might even do is start having a conversation about, do we need to swap out stories from the sprint that were planned to do, because we now know that we need to go deeper and harder on a certain aspect. Come the end of the sprint, all these stories are done. What you're going to want to do is see, did we actually achieve this? And you can even be giving these bit of a red, amber, or green score based on your confidence on how you're making progress against that, so that you know well and truly by the end of the sprint, are we on target or not? If you get to the end of the sprint and you still haven't made progress on that sprint goal, I would carry that sprint goal to the next sprint. Now, what that might mean is I need to revisit and how realistic is it, but we want to carry these things forward. We don't want to be just going, okay, we didn't achieve those goals, on to the next thing. We want to keep pushing ahead until it may no longer make sense to try and strive for that goal, and then we need to revisit the goal for the sprint, but also the OKRs. Are they realistic? Maybe we just cannot get that checkout time down no matter what we try. It's not possible. You need to be ready to change and adapt. Finally, at the end of your sprint, you're also going to be wanting to score your confidence on your OKR. So based on the insights on your progress on your sprint goals, how much progress have you made here? How confident are you that you're going to achieve it? Now, by scoring on your OKR, either fortnightly if that's how your sprint cadence, or weekly, even better because you're keeping that really tight pulse on what's going on, your confidence score will tell you whether you're making that progress. And if you're really feeling like you're not, that might be the time to revisit your OKR that you set, think about where do you need support and help from the rest of the organization to make things happen, or rethink your approach. And that might even mean thinking about changing up your backlog a little bit, because the items you've got in there aren't making you create those outcomes. Really, to make this work well, you need to have good automation. And by automation, I mean automation testing. You also want automated deployments. So you want to be able to get deployments out quickly, fast, and regularly. You also want to have really good data, good analytics. There's no point setting these kind of measures if you actually don't know how long it takes for the checkout. In fact, if you've set this for a quarter and you don't have that kind of data, step one is getting the data. You can't really get this any sort of verifiability without having the data in front of you. So, I know for a lot of organizations, you're not going to have that. And I understand it takes time to build this kind of capability up. So what can you do instead? None of this is going to be the same as having that automated testing so you can get things out quickly, deployments that are automated so you can ship your code very fast and reliably and repeatably into production environments. It makes it tricky, but there are things you can do. As part of a sprint team, if I didn't have that capability, if I knew that I couldn't deliver these stories until the end of the sprint, if I knew that I don't have the data to checkpoint on how they're going, well, here's what I would do. First, I would create a task to get that data. We need to get the data in place. Do it sooner rather than later. It's going to save you a hell of a lot of pain. So create a task around that, number one. Number two, automation around testing and deployments is time consuming. You should be working on that anyway, but it's not going to happen overnight. Here's what I would suggest. Where you can, work with your product manager or your UX team, whoever it might be, to test the changes you're making in real life. Go visit a customer, show them the new design, step them through the process and have them go through the process mocked up and see how long it takes. Test it out with a few different examples to see if you're making that traction and progress. That way you can see in advance, are the things that we're doing going to drive that impact? If when you're testing it out with customers and it looks like it's not actually going to work, it's not going to create the improvements, then you know what? You've got to know that I need to do more work on this, and you're going to have to double down on those sprint goals until you see those improvements. Again, none of this is an overnight fix, but you can actually get started with those right here, right now. So by laying those foundations, you're going to be well and truly set up for success in the long term. Well, that's it. I'm really curious to hear what you all think. Let me know in the comments below. If you've got any thoughts or any questions, I want to share with you some other material that we've got, especially things like the Skillfire OKR cheat sheet. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there that will just help you understand the OKR framework and how it sort of applies, and share that with the team so you're all on the same page around ways of working. Check it out and talk to you all soon.